What a great way to start the morning. Let's just allow that love to just be there. Around us, in us. We're immersed in it. And if you don't know that, then this is a great place to be. Because that's what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to explore. And this is called the Celebration Hall. To celebrate means to honor. So we're here to honor the grace of Spirit, the grace and power of Spirit, the grace and power of yourself, the grace and power of life itself. To honor that, to appreciate it. And sometimes we just need to sink into it a bit. So I'm Kathianne Lewis. I want to welcome all of you who are here and all of you who are watching. We now have as big an audience online, hello, in their jammies, hello, as we do, showing up with bodies in the chair. And so, so it's good to have all of you here. And there's just a few things that I want to say. Few things. First of all, if we're going to honor, let's honor part of our teaching. And our teaching is that the universe does not play favorites. There's not a great group of people or a great country or a great tribe. There's no great ethnicity. There's no great religion. It's all good in the eyes of Spirit. So that means that anyone born is significant to this universe. So let's honor your birth. If you're having a birthday last week or this week, let's honor you. Let's celebrate you. So wave your hand or stand up. There's a birthday. Birthday. We have, wait, they're coming. Did you get one? No, they're showing up. Birthday. Yay. Our ushers rush as fast as they can, like speedy people. Great. So the other thing that I want to say is if you have a smartphone, go ahead and sign in, let people know where you are. We're here to have an awesome experience because we believe in an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. Now, some people believe that God is awful. So, therefore, they might like to hear that there's a place that says there's an awesome instead of an awful God, which is very interesting. Let's think about it. If it's full of awe, it's awful. And yet, if there's just some awe, then it's awesome. That's just very strange. But anyway, sign in anyway. I mean, really, let's think about that. It's crazy. So, and the last thing that I want to say is if you are here for one of the first few times and have not filled out a connection card, I invite you to do so you can be part of our extended spiritual community because there's a lot going on. Just more than on Sunday. Lots going on. We want to let you know about it. And we can put you on that list if you sign a connection card. Looks like this. It's in the offering plate as it goes by later. It's also, I was corrected once. I love it. It's not a plate, it's a basket. It's a basket. There's a basket. Don't look for a plate. There's a basket. These will be in there. And if it goes by and you want to take one of these out, fill it out, return it to me or anyone with a name tag, that would be lovely. Great day. And one of the reasons it's so great is because we're going to pray. Let me tell you what prayer is in the way that I pray. I pray because the way that I pray sort of fits in line with something I read many years ago. And that is that the word attributed to the man Jesus for prayer was, or could be translated as to set a trap. So to set a trap, to get yourself ready, to catch a thought, to catch an idea, to catch a feeling, to catch something. So let's catch a little bit of the divine. We're going to use some music, and Reverend John Hollis will pray, do his prayer, and just catch what you can in this experience. And we'll begin by simply being silent, putting aside the cares, concerns, and even enthusiasm for the day. To just rest in this moment.
Here in this precious moment, here in this precious moment, we open our hearts and our minds and our souls to catch that precious, loving essence, to be touched by that relentless love that lifts us, carries us, shows us, guides us. In this precious moment, we are alive, we are whole, we are precious. In this precious moment, we welcome, we catch the beloved, and we are lifted ever higher, ever deeper. And so it begins, and so it is.
Well, I want to acknowledge our tweens up there. Thank you, with Graydon and Kristen. Yeah. And we have a bunch of teens in the house. Oh. Now, why do we have all these people? Because we have a celebrity. A celebrity will be our power speaker for the day. At least she's a celebrity in the hearts of the tweens and the teens. And it's Sarah Gregory.
Thank you. Good morning. I didn't know I was a celebrity. I like it. So I'm Sarah. I've been around CSL for about 22 years. So when I was asked to give a power talk, I really didn't know what to talk about. But I've got two stories to tell you. My parents started coming to CSL when I was about 4 or 5, and they had always been firm believers in New Thought and big tithers. One day when I was about 6 or 7, I came home and my dad had poker chips out on the table. He was ready to teach me about money. I started getting an allowance of $10 a week, and this was big money for a 7-year-old. However, I had a few caveats. I had to put $1 or 10% into savings, and I had to tithe 10%. He even made me fill out a pledge card. I might have been the youngest pledger ever at 7. So I continued to give 10% of my allowance, and I grew up in this church. When I was 10, I was very clear I wanted a car. Specifically, I wanted a Jeep. When I turned 16, I wanted to drive. When I was about 15, I started looking at cars, and my savings account was now at about $250. My parents said they would probably help. It wasn't much, but I was clear I was going to have a car. I got my permit, took driver's ed, scared the heck out of my parents as I was learning to drive. My 16th birthday came, and my parents said, "Honey, I'm sorry, but we can't buy you a car, but you can use ours whenever you need." And my $300 wasn't going to get me much. I was disappointed, but my intention was very clear, and I had no attachment as to how it would show up. I was going to have a car. Being 16, I didn't pray that much, but I was raised in this church, and so I treated every so often, usually while I was driving. And I held on to that intention. In October, about 6 months after my birthday, my parents came to me and said, "Granddad's going to stop driving, and he wants to give you his car." Now, it wasn't a Jeep, but it was a 1995 bright red Ford Probe, and I loved that car. And to this day, it's my biggest and most concrete demonstration I've ever had. So that's story number 1. Story number 2 is that I moved back to Seattle about 2.5 years ago to work for my dad. I joined Coming of Age again. I started working with the teens. I had started at CBEC a few years prior. I had 13 kids that year, and I had about 5 to 9 consistently showing up on Sundays. But I was, when I moved back, I was lonely. I was 24. I was the boss of a company. I was living with my mom, and I was spending most of my free time here with people over 40 or under 18. I felt incredibly loved, but I also felt isolated. So I treated and I prayed for 2 straight years for community, connection, and abundance. I prayed with the teens, I prayed on my own, I prayed with anybody who would listen to me. Slowly, I started noticing changes in my life, and I was making connections and feeling less and less lonely. But what I also noticed was I wasn't just praying for me, I was praying for all of the communities around me. And a byproduct of the prayers for myself turned into an exponential growth of the teen program. I now have 20 to 25 consistently showing up on Sunday and 34 at CBEC this year. So the point of my stories is that between giving back to my community that feeds me and setting clear intentions and praying for what I want, I made miracles happen, and for me and all those around me. And I am truly blessed and truly grateful for this opportunity. Thank you. Thank you.
What's great is that powerhouse known as Sarah Beth Gregory. Sarah Beth, I can.
You can call me Sarah Beth.
Nobody else can. Okay, so Sarah Gregory, the powerhouse Sarah Gregory, was also part of the original group of young adults, 18 to 35, that now call themselves the New Thought group. So, and they meet on Wednesdays. Next Thought, not New Thought. Well, it's not even new, it's the next. It's beyond that. It's beyond New Thought. So if you know of anybody between 18 and 35, they meet on Wednesdays. It's great. Let's just take a moment and you remember I said this is a celebration hall. To celebrate means to honor. And I would like to honor all of our veterans. So those of you who have served in armed services or are currently serving, would you please come up, and we want to just acknowledge you and honor you. So we're looking for veterans. Okay, one of the things that we do here is we make them really uncomfortable now, and we bless them. So it's great to have applause, and it's different because they're going to feel this blessing. The way you're going to bless them is to do what angels do, which is praise. You're going to praise them, and then you're going to raise them in the name of love. So get ready. All of you in the front row, get ready to be blessed. And this is the way we do it. We praise you, we raise you in the name of love. We praise you, we raise you in the name of love. And we praise you and we raise you in the name of love. Thank you so much for your service. Thank you so much for giving what you gave. And thank you so much for being a part of this community today. I'm really grateful. Thank you. So glad we could do this. I started 2 weeks ago a 4-week series on thriving. And I found this quote. It's wonderful. It was actually on the CSL Facebook page, and I put it on my page because I liked it so much. It says, "Surviving is important." We all know that, don't you? And don't you all feel pretty much like a survivor? Boy, the things you've been through, the things you've done, you survived. I'm here. Isn't that true? I mean, because we all have stuff. Anybody not have stuff ever? Even so there's stuff, but we survive. But I love this quote. This is by Maya Angelou. "Surviving is important. Thriving is elegant." My prayer for you is that you live an elegant life. My prayer for all life is that life is elegant. It's like I want to live an elegant life. And if I want that for myself, I want that for everybody here. And so the first step to thriving is to cultivate feeling. Feeling you are where you want to be. Sometimes that's difficult when you're not where you want to be, because what you feel is where you are. And we use our imagination and our will, because will is a directive power. It's the power to direct and focus. You use your direction and your focus and your imagination to put yourself into the situation that you want. You move into it like this, and you feel it. And you cultivate that feeling, because a thought plus a feeling will equal a result. Lots of thought, no feeling, no result. Or a kind of a flimsy result. How many of you have ever had flimsy results? Like you pray for something and you notice everybody else has it? Tim Brinsfield was here first service, and I will say that he was in a Sangha with me many, many years ago. And at that time, Tim and I were both selling our homes so we could buy a home together. As it turned out, my home sold first, so I bought the house. But I had this very large mortgage. I went from a condo to a very large mortgage, and I was paying it all by myself, and it would have been really nice if Tim would sell his house so that he could move in and help pay the mortgage. That was what was going on with me. What I realized is that I prayed and prayed and prayed. That Sangha prayed, everybody prayed. Sell Tim's house, sell Tim's house. Tim Brinsfield sold his house in one day. Tims everywhere were selling their house. But not my Tim. Because I realized that what I realized was I was praying for the house to sell, and I was feeling the pressure of making the mortgage payment by myself. It takes a thought plus a feeling. And once I finally moved out of that and removed the block, Tim's house sold in 3 days. I mean, it was an upmarket. There was no reason for it not to sell. It was on Mercer Island, for goodness sakes. It's not like a bad neighborhood. So truly, thought plus feeling. The next thing we talked about was forgiveness. What forgiveness means is giving up so that God can give itself forth through you. To give up. To give up your opinion of someone else, to give up your grievances, to give up your ideas, to give up your self-condemnation. That's all last week. You have to give it up, because as long as you're holding on to your opinion of the world, God's opinion of the world can't show up through you. It's impossible. Plus, when you're holding on, now imagine with me holding on. Hold on. You're not holding on. My goodness, you could be swept away at any minute because you're not holding on. So when you hold on, you notice that you just sort of become tense. There's a tenseness. How open and receptive is that? I want God's good. So we have to open up. We forgive. Which leads me to what I want to talk about today in a very remote, roundabout, obscure way. And that is that the third key is movement. Eventually, something has to happen. Something's got to change. There must be movement. Thriving is growth and development. In fact, let's see what I had for all of those definitions of thriving. That goes on and on and on and on. So to thrive is to move into greater good. It's constant. It is vigorous. It's flourishing. It's growth. It's development. It's movement. So eventually there has to be some movement. I'll give you an illustration. I had done my imagination. I felt my new husband. I would imagine sitting on the couch watching TV, and I would lean into this husband. This would be really interesting if you were all psychotherapists. And you'd be saying, oh, so you have an imaginary husband, do you? Anyway, that's what it worked for me. So I was leaning into my husband, feeling his arm while I watched TV. Okay, Then I did all my forgiveness work, which had to do with all the reasons why I could not possibly get married again. And lots of them. First of all, I'd have to explain how many times I've been married before. That might be daunting. I had reasons like nobody wants to marry a minister, because I'd heard it from other husbands. And I really had. You always have some sort of little evidence. Evidence is everywhere. It's what you pick up and use. Are you using evidence for your good or evidence for your limitation? If you want to be limited, there's evidence. So sure enough, I was limited and there was evidence. And I was just reaffirming. So I had to let that all go. I had to let go of the fact that what I heard or what I told myself is, how will I ever meet somebody and go through the courtship, because I don't work on, I work on Saturday night. I've got date night with God. Explain that to a guy. You know, all sorts of stuff, you know? So when I had forgiven all that, meaning I gave it up, I gave up those ideas one by one by one. I released them, and then I was actually able to be filled by God, filled with the realization that I could love anyone, anyone could love me. Love was normal and natural, and it was my destiny. Love is your destiny, by the way, just as all good is your destiny. Your destiny is for you to have a thriving life. Now, you can resist as long as you want, like I was resisting. I was saying, oh, no, I can't be married because, you know, I don't even want to tell you some of the things I say in class. But anyway, I had all those, I let them go, and then I would sit on my bed and I would just know it was all going to turn out right. And then I was like, okay, I'm ready. I'm so ready. I'm so ready. Ready, 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 ready. And then, honestly, I mean, this may sound crazy, but sometimes Spirit has to actually call me by name because I'm so dense at times. Sometimes I'm really quite alert and intuitive, and sometimes I'm dense. Well, I guess I'd gotten kind of dense because I actually heard, Kathianne, work with me here. You've got to do something. See, leaving my condo and driving to church was not exactly an active life. Not a lot of people I might meet, unless I speeded and maybe met a policeman. That would be nice. But really. So I signed up for an online dating. Yes, I was one of those. It works. So here's what I want to say. Eventually you have to take all that I've talked about and move with it, or truly let it move you. There has to be a movement. A woman sent me a email last week, and she showed me a picture of a pot of Christmas cactus. Now, it was about this big around, and it wasn't very high, but lots of Christmas cactus, full. And if any of you have had Christmas cactus, you know that what you do is you take off a stem, put it in dirt, eventually it roots, and you get a new Christmas cactus. Well, what she said is that she had taken 3 pieces of Christmas cactus off of her big, flourishing Christmas cactus and stuck it in dirt. And then, after I talked about prove love, because we had a whole series on proving God, I said, prove love, prove the activity of paying attention to something and blessing something, prove blessing. And I said, take 2 plants, don't curse one, but bless the other. You know, we don't want to curse anything, because actually, if you were going to do in a more scientific book, they'd say curse one, bless the other. Let's just be, you know, like this is the control group. Well, she didn't want to do that because she didn't have 2 plants, but she did have this pot with 3 little stems sticking out. She said, I did nothing more except move it to a place that I could see it more, and every time I saw it, I blessed the plants. And then all of a sudden, they took off, filled the pot. See, I talked about that last summer. It wasn't very long ago. I'm surprised that she could get such a full pot. But she moved. She did something. That when we want a thriving life, eventually we must get in motion. It's physics. The physics say that a body wants to do what a body wants to do. Well, that's Kathianne's paraphrasing. Meaning, if a body is at rest, it wants to stay at rest. If a body is moving, it wants to stay moving in the same direction at the same rate. And if you're going to change that body, you must exert energy to make the shift. You have to put something into the equation. And sometimes it takes a lot to get it shifted. Like it would take a lot to stop a moving body. It would take a lot to get a moving body started. But once it got started, it would be easier. That's the same thing with thriving. I didn't learn, but I got a physics lesson when I was kayaking for I think the first time ever at Seebeck. And Carrie Jarda had 2 kayaks. She let me be in one, and I'm in it. And I noticed that it wants to go wherever it wants to go unless I exert energy. And then it wants to go that way. So until I got the hang of it, it was a long journey to where we were going. But I really got that there is something about the moving body wants to continue doing what it's doing. Consciousness is a body. Think of your consciousness, not your body. Don't think body anymore. Think consciousness. It is a body of intelligence, and it wants to do what it's doing. Whatever it's doing, it wants to do that. It's happy doing that. It takes something to move that. So if you are good at surviving, there will be a part of you that wants to continue just surviving. But what if you wanted to thrive? And thriving for you is your own definition. Whatever that is. But for me, it would mean a fullness of activities and satisfaction and not such a one-pointed life. For me, thriving means that I have the resources to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And I'm not just doing things to fill up, but I'm doing things out of the fullness of me. That's thriving for me. I don't know how you will explain it, but you need to look at your own definition of thriving. So there's 2 ways to talk about thriving. There's the outer modalities and there's the inner modalities. And most teachings about thriving are about outer modalities. They are all the things that we know and have read. How many of you have ever read a prosperity book? How many of you have ever read a book on dating? Oh, less people. I was reading those books. Actually, this was the best demonstration because I read those books and it gave me headaches because they contradicted themselves. It was how, if the Buddha dated, and then the rules, they were different. So anyway, God knows how to thrive. So most things tell us to do something. I remember one of my mentors when I was trying to leave my poverty consciousness, and he called it poverty consciousness. I called it great consciousness, but I was just surviving. And he made me go and sit in really luxurious places, if that was a hotel or whatever, and just sit there. And realize that the alarms wouldn't go off. Because it actually felt that way. It made my skin crawl. I shouldn't be here. It's going to be hard to thrive if you don't see yourself anywhere. Anywhere. You deserve to be anywhere. So, there's all sorts of outer expressions of inner, of how to thrive. There's make a list, start a savings account. How many of you have savings accounts? Great, God bless you. What would be nice is for you to set up a whole bunch of savings accounts. A savings account for everything you want. A new car. Oh, we should have talked to Sarah, she's gone. But a savings account for a car, a savings account for vacations, a savings account for this or that. It's, save. Also, you can take classes, you can find out about investments, you can get a passport if you want to travel, even if you don't know where you would travel, have a passport. It might show up, a trip might come your way. There's also, join an online dating group. There's, do meetups. I don't know, there's all sorts of things to do out there. How many of you know there's stuff that you could be doing? And how many of you resist? I want to talk to you. Because see, I have paid a fortune in coaches and mentors. And they all told me to go do stuff. Go do this, do that. And even when I did it, I had such a feeling inside. I would go, ugh. And so I just do it. So I want to talk about the other modality, inner modality. I think I'm becoming a better horseback rider than I've ever been before because my new trainer only speaks about inner modalities. She'll say things like, your horse wants to be your partner. It wants to do everything you want it to do. It's just looking for clear direction. Really? See, I've had people who say, no, you tell them once, you tell them twice, don't let them get away with it. Amazing. Whole different setup. See, it's inner. It's changing the way I act. It's just changing what I do because I have a new inner relationship with my horse. It's inner. So I want to talk to you about an inner sense of thriving because if we don't get that, if we don't understand something at a deep and powerful level, all that we do will be like sawdust. And if we have an inner sense of movement that is really thriving and flourishing, everything we do will prosper. Inner first. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, which means the realm of power, the realm of I can. Seek ye first the realm of I can, and all else shall be added. So what is that inner realm of I am? Well, I'm going to do some preaching here. It's going to sound like a preacher, but I looked up preaching because I thought, oh gosh, I can't use the word preaching. And it actually means to be an earnest advocate. I'm going to be an earnest advocate for your good. I want you to have a life of thriving. And so the first thing to get beyond all things is that God's will for you is good. Now, I love it. Some gentleman came up to me after the first service. He says, I like all those other words you use, but God. It's too small, and it's just a label. And I said, yeah, but it's easy to spell. So I'm just going to use this as a label. It's just because otherwise I spend too much time saying the love intelligence of the universe from which all things spring and to which all things will eventually dissolve. Just seems easier, God. All right? So I'm going to use that word, and also I'm using it because I want to specifically push your buttons, because when I was really listening last night, and I wanted to tell you to go do this, and this, and Spirit said, no, let's work on the inner realm. And it's like all I could get was I'm supposed to tell you God's will for you is good. And I said, oh, no, it's going to push buttons because God's will is a really, shaky place. It's like God's will for you is good. Let's just talk about it. God's will for you is good. I want to be an earnest advocate for you to finally get that no matter what you're doing, God's will for you is good, and your spiritual destiny is to thrive. And you can put it off as long as you want. You really can. You can avoid all of the holy books and all the scriptures, and you can pretend like you don't know that forgiveness works. You could pretend like Like you don't know that there's a law for good in the universe and you can use it. If you don't like the way that I'm putting it, let's look to see what Ernest Holmes said. Oh, someone said, this is a well-loved book. Yeah, I've read this book a few times. Oh, this is good. I better wait on that one. Ooh. Oh, I'll wait. That's a very good one. Yeah, you're right. All right. So, oh, well, we'll do that one too later. Anyway, I now remember why I wanted that. Anyway, so God's will for you is good. Now, let's move on. There's also another thing, is this is not logical. Besides the Bhagavad Gita, the Old and New Testament, the works of the Quran, Rumi, Hafiz, St. Francis, Meister Eckhart, Gandhi, besides those people and those books, I can't really give you any proof that God's will for you is good. It's just that that's what people say. And they say it because they've seen the face of God. It's said in the Bible that you cannot see the face of God and live, and what doesn't live is your old self. Your old self dies, and you give up the idea that you must struggle and strive and suffer and somehow earn your place someplace. That just dies. My experience of God has always been, even since I was a little girl, my experience of God was that I was loved and cared for and protected, that my soul was protected. No matter what was going on, my soul was protected, and it was something was very good with me. That's hard to explain. So my prayer is that you receive this transmission, and that you just buy into this idea that God's will for you is good. Now, think about how that will change things. It's like me being told that my horse wants to be my partner. And that horses really love learning and doing what you want. That shifted everything. I don't have to be assertive anymore. I can just make requests. See, I was told to do things lightly with the reins, but when I was told the horse wants to be your partner and wants to do what you want, all you have to do is make a request. My hands are not about being light anymore. They're just about making requests. So totally different. If you leave here believing that God's will for you, and will means focus and direction, God's focus for you is good. Not generally, although it is generally, but specifically for you is good. How would that change you? Can you see your actions would be different? Just as my actions are different with the horse. Now, if God's will for you is good, His will for everything is good. God's will, focus, and direction, intention for all of life is good. Now, that doesn't show up sometimes, because we can still always avoid the laws of love, and then we get to have the laws of cause and effect. As long as we as individuals or collectively as a group of people don't believe in the law of love, which means that we're all one and that we all deserve all the good and that we can all benefit each other, until we fall into the law of love, we're going to be in the law of cause and effect. You put that out, it comes back. Physics. There's a cartoon that I just remembered this morning, and I wish I'd remembered it earlier so I could have found it and put it up on the screen behind me, so let me show you kind of what it looks like. It was a young man sitting on the bench with Jesus. You knew it was Jesus because he had a long beard and he looked like a white guy with a robe. even though I'm sure he was Jewish. Anyway, so instead of looking like a Jewish rabbi, he looked like Jesus. So we know it's Jesus. And the young man saying, so tell me, why is it that you've let all the poverty and the suffering and the casualties and the bad stuff happen in the world? And Jesus said, I was just about to ask you the same thing. See, if we can avoid what we've been told in holy books as long as we want, or we can finally surrender to God's will, which is for our good, which means we have to will God's will, which can sound really scary. It's a whole control issue. No, I just make my own good, thank you very much. Well, eventually you'll go beyond your own power, praise God. And then we'll want to will God's will, because God's will for us is good. Here's some things that I've noticed keep us from letting God's will happen in us, is that we're not willing to give up our opinions of ourselves and others. And then we suffer. Judge Thomas Troward said suffering was the result of a resistance to change. And I think suffering is a resistance to not having it our way. Suffering could end. Because it's really hard to suffer and thrive at the same time. Anybody ever notice that? So how is it that we're going to make that shift? Because I would like for you to make an inner shift. Because when you make this inner shift, when you realize that God's will for you is good, and God's will for everybody else is good, then when you will God's will, you are directed in ways that are amazing. Divine intelligence opens up and you're shown things. You are directed in ways that will flourish for you and others. Because it's not only good for you, what you'll realize is that God's will for you is good, but it always is good for everybody else. It's not unlimited, isolated, singular good. It's a big good. My God is not just an awesome God, it's a really big God. And it will express itself in really big ways. I had the opportunity to read about a young man who came from a very poor state, I forgot the name, in India. And in that state, only 25% of the people in the whole state had electricity. 25%, 75% of all the villages were without electricity. So when the sun went down, everything went black. There was no lights to read by unless they did kerosene, which is a fire hazard, and B, hard to breathe, and it's not good for the environment. So he went to the United States, got a master's degree in some sort of electronics, and figured out a way to use all that they had, because he said, listen, there's a good for me and not to have it, which is to make a living and to contribute and benefit my state in India. That's what he had to work with. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he realized at this particular state, what they do is they're so poor they recycle everything. Nothing goes to waste, except rice husks, which they have an abundance of. And so he created a generator that was the kind of generator that doesn't let fumes out, and he started creating small generators in every village that could light every home in the village, burning what they had excess of, rice husks. Now, that was in, I think that was 2007, and right now they have something like 240 of those in his state, and they think that just looking on who produces rice and the number of villages that are without electricity, they think they can affect the lives of 75 million people. Wow. One village at a time. There's a good for him. He is prospering by making things that everybody needs that no one could afford. By the way, most of the villages, even if they'd had electricity, couldn't have afforded it. He provides a month's worth of electricity to any home for $1.75 because they're burning what they have excess of. And it's clean energy. Amazing. I don't know what your life is like, but I know that when you get in alignment with God's will, it's going to open up because God's will for you is good. And if you want to do good, you're going to find the way to do it. Things will start to happen because you will be in league with this thing that's sometimes called God, which is the infinite intelligence and love of the universe working through you. Amazing things can happen if you will God's will. So, I have a question for you. Are you willing to will God's will? Yes. Okay, so say it with me. I will God's will. God's will for you is to thrive. Are you willing to thrive? Yes. Say, I am willing to thrive. I am led in the ways of thriving. Doors open for me. I step through. I am directed into what to do. And I'll do it. So I thrive. And everyone else does. You just did a prayer. You should congratulate yourselves. While they're coming forward, I want to tell you about a book I was reading when I was in Greece. It was on my Kindle. The $100 Startup. Amazing ideas about how to reinvent the way you make a living and do what you love and create a new future. It's so good. And if nothing else, I'm not saying go out and quit your day job. But what it does is it opens up possibilities because sometimes we think we've only got this little square to move in. There's a whole world out there. And since it's God's will for you to do good, you might have to step through. It'll be fun. Anyway, so we could have Entrepreneurs Anonymous. Hello, I'm Kathianne. I'm an entrepreneur. Anyway, speaking of which, I do have cards available in the bookstore. They are wisdom cards that actually they were inspired. They're really great. And that's my plug because this service has been brought to you by the bookstore. So thank you very much for frequenting it. And we have our wonderful Reverend Michael Ingersoll and his husband. Yes, come on up. Okay. Rod Hammer.
Well, we're so grateful to be the co-chairs for this year's celebration for our stewardship campaign. And so, first of all, go ahead, Rod.
We'd like to begin by saying thank you.
Thank you
to so many of you. Thanks. To so many of you who have said yes to this year's stewardship campaign by turning in your pledge card. You know, with your consciousness and support, we are already over halfway to our goal of $2 million. Yep. So, what a blessing and what a demonstration of your caring for the Center for Spiritual Living.
You know, our theme this year is about us being people helping people. So it's really about the people helping the church, which is really about, we are the church, so it's us helping us. So we're the people helping the people. So if you've already contributed to this year's stewardship campaign, would you raise your hand? And if you've ever participated in a campaign in the past, raise your hand. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. And if you've ever done anything for the church, put any money anywhere, keep your hand up. Now take a look at people helping people. Give yourselves a hand. It's wonderful.
Okay. So, you know, we all need to pledge, we all need to participate in order for the church to have a good idea of what the budget will be for next year. And it's as easy as taking a moment to fill out an intentional giving card, doing your best to approximate what your giving for next year may be. So we'd invite you to prayerfully consider what your experience here has been, what you have received, both the thoughts and the feelings. And with those thoughts and feelings, let your pledge reflect what your experience here has been.
And I asked Danny to put the slide back up, providing hope, building faith, celebrating miracles. And that's exactly what my experience has been. And this is an opportunity for the inner me to talk to the inner you, to ask you to please consider this an opportunity for you to soberly and gratefully consider what your giving may mean to this community, to how it will affect the lives of so many, so that the church can continue providing hope and building faith and celebrating miracles. So let that be the sweet soul of who you are leading the way. So we invite you to please join us at the stewardship table after the service is over to fill out a pledge card, or come here next Sunday for our amazingly wonderful, beautiful, moving Stewardship Sunday, culmination of our celebration of this campaign. So thank you.
So disconnect with your heart. I give thanks that I absolutely know that each and every one of us is instructed not by myself or a book or anyone else. We are always instructed by that inner spirit, that divine North Star, the original teacher. In the past, it's been known as Sophia, before that Isis, and then the Holy Spirit. And that Spirit is here to teach you, love you, bless you, and reveal to you your own goodness and God's will for you. So allow it to also instruct you about your part of what to contribute so that this place continues to thrive. For this I do give thanks, and so it is.
Angel came down from heaven yesterday, stayed with me just long enough to rescue me.